Behind those endless rows of roll-up metal doors, entire lives are packed away, sometimes even darker secrets. Each unit is a sealed box, a private world, holding the memories, hopes, and sometimes the nightmares of its owner. The stories inside are as varied as the people who rent them, and most will never be told. Self-storage units are everywhere, promising security and privacy. They blend into the background of our cities and towns, quietly serving as silent witnesses to the lives that pass through their gates. But that anonymity can be the perfect cover for hiding something sinister. In the shadows, secrets can fester, shielded from prying eyes by nothing more than a padlock and a monthly payment. No one asks what you're storing or why you come and go at odd hours. The staff rarely notice, and the cameras only capture silent, fleeting glimpses of comings and goings. For most, it's just old furniture or forgotten keepsakes. Childhood toys, family heirlooms, the overflow of a life in transition, these are the usual contents, gathering dust in the dark. But for a few, a storage unit becomes a tomb, a place where evidence is hidden or where the past is locked away, never meant to be found. The isolation and silence are exactly what a killer counts on. Here, in these echoing corridors, time seems to stand still, and secrets can linger for years. Month after month, the rent is paid, and the secret remains locked away until the payments stop. Sometimes, it's only a missed bill that brings the truth to light. The lock is cut, the door rolls up, and the truth is exposed. What was hidden in darkness is suddenly revealed, often to unsuspecting eyes. Suddenly, a routine auction transforms into a crime scene. The ordinary business of selling off abandoned belongings becomes something far more chilling. For those who make the discovery, it's a moment that changes everything. The shock, the disbelief, and the horror linger long after the unit is emptied. The silence is shattered, and the hidden story demands to be told. Police swarm the scene, and the media soon follows, hungry for answers. These are the unseen spaces, where the ordinary meets the unthinkable, where the line between everyday life and horror is thinner than we realize, where secrets, no matter how carefully hidden, eventually come to light. The truth, once uncovered, cannot be ignored or forgotten. And sometimes, what's found inside is more horrifying than anyone could imagine. The contents of a single unit can unravel lives and haunt a community for years. In these forgotten corners, the past refuses to stay buried. Every box, every crate, every shadowed corner holds a story waiting to be discovered. The story you're about to hear began in one such place, a place that seemed ordinary until it revealed its terrible secret, and it would haunt everyone who crossed its path, leaving a mark that could never be erased. On a chilly morning at the U-Storage facility in Akron, Ohio, the day began like any other. Rows of storage units stood silent, their secrets locked away behind metal doors. For the regulars, this was just another chance to strike it rich, or at least find something worth the bid. A routine auction was underway, drawing a small crowd of hopeful bidders and curious onlookers. The auctioneer's voice echoed through the corridors, calling out lot numbers and starting bids. Bidders gathered, each one dreaming of hidden treasures among the abandoned units, antiques, collectibles, or maybe just something they could flip for a quick profit. The air buzzed with anticipation and the thrill of the unknown. The lock on Unit 147 was cut. The door rolled up with a metallic clatter. Inside, the contents looked ordinary at first glance. Boxes stacked haphazardly, worn furniture, and a large, humming chest freezer pushed against the back wall. Vincent DeLillo, a local vendor known for his keen eye, won the bid for just under $200. He was pleased. Freezers often meant valuable contents, or at least a working appliance to resell. He and a friend began clearing out the unit, stacking boxes and shifting furniture aside. The heavy freezer, though, was left for last. It would take both of them to move it. The freezer was sealed tightly with layers of duct tape. It struck them as odd, but in the world of storage auctions, people did strange things to protect their belongings. When they unplugged it, a foul, unmistakable odor began to seep out. The smell of decay was overwhelming, instantly turning excitement into dread. Overcome by a sense of foreboding, they hesitated, but curiosity and a sense of responsibility forced them to pry open the lid. Inside, packed in frost and ice, was not food or valuables, but the unmistakable form of a human body. The shock was immediate and paralyzing. Stunned and horrified, they stumbled back and immediately called the police, their hands shaking as they dialed. In an instant, the mundane setting of a storage facility had become the scene of a nightmare, one that would haunt everyone involved. What started as a simple auction filled with hope and routine had turned into a chilling discovery that would soon make headlines. The freezer's terrible secret was out, and a full-scale investigation began. Detectives and forensic teams descended on the scene, determined to uncover the truth. Witnesses, shaken to their core, tried to comfort each other as the reality of what they'd found set in. No one present would ever forget that day. The story of Unit 147 was just beginning, its secrets only starting to unravel. And the horror inside was only the start of a much deeper mystery. The police would soon realize this was no ordinary crime, but something far more complex and disturbing. The true scope of the tragedy was yet to be revealed, and the community would never be the same. When police arrived at the storage facility, they were met with a chilling sight. Vincent and his friend stood pale and trembling beside the open freezer, their faces etched with disbelief and fear. The air was thick with tension, the harsh glow of emergency lights bouncing off the cold metal doors, illuminating a scene that felt almost unreal. Inside the freezer, officers discovered the body of a woman, curled up tightly, her form encased in a thick layer of ice. She looked as if she had been frozen in the middle of a desperate attempt to escape, her features preserved in a haunting tableau. The killer hadn't simply hidden the body, they had gone to great lengths to preserve it, turning the freezer into a macabre time capsule. Every detail suggested a calculated effort to keep the secret locked away for as long as possible. Thick strips of duct tape sealed the lid shut, a deliberate move to contain both the evidence and the horror within. It was clear that whoever did this wanted to make sure nothing escaped, not even a trace of the crime. The entire storage unit was quickly cordoned off, transformed into a crime scene frozen in time. Investigators moved carefully, aware that every inch of the space might hold vital clues to a story that had been hidden for years. The medical examiner faced a unique challenge. The body couldn't be removed right away. The freezer itself had to be transported, still sealed, to the morgue. Only there could it be thawed slowly, preserving any evidence that might be lost in haste. As investigators combed through the unit, they uncovered a jumble of personal effects and household goods, each item a potential piece of the puzzle. The ordinary contents contrasted sharply with the horror hidden in the freezer. But the most shocking discovery was yet to come. As the freezer slowly thawed at the morgue, a second body was revealed. A man, hidden beneath the ice, his fate sealed alongside the woman's. What began as a single tragedy was now a double homicide, a secret kept in plain sight for years. The storage unit had become a silent witness to a terrible crime. Month after month, someone had paid the storage fees, ensuring the secret remained undisturbed. The passage of time was marked only by the regular payments, never by a visit or a question. The horror of what was uncovered ran deeper than anyone could have imagined. Each new detail only added to the sense of dread and disbelief among the investigators. The investigation was just beginning, and detectives knew they faced a long and difficult road ahead. Every clue would need to be examined, every lead followed, to bring justice to the victims. 2 lives, erased and locked away for years, had finally been found. But the search for answers, and for the person responsible, was only just beginning. Detectives started with the storage unit's records. It was rented under the name Michael L. Poe, with payments made for over a year, until they suddenly stopped. Poe's listed address was a dead end. He'd moved out months before. Sifting through the unit, police found a wallet with Charles D. Vella's ID. Missing persons reports confirmed Charles and his wife Beverly had vanished nearly a year earlier. The evidence pointed to the Vellas as the victims. But who was Michael Poe, and what was his connection? Investigators checked the Vellas' financial records. Their credit cards had been used long after they disappeared, at gas stations, restaurants, and to pay for the storage unit. Someone was living off their money, keeping the secret hidden. The trail led straight back to Michael Poe. The pieces were falling into place. Now, police needed to find him. Charles and Beverly Vella were a loving, retired couple, ordinary people with no enemies. Charles was a gentle, hard-working grandfather. Beverly was outgoing and warm. Their family last heard from them in late spring. When calls went unanswered, their daughter found their home unlocked, car in the driveway, but no sign of them. No struggle, no clues, just vanished. The case went cold, and their family endured months of agonizing uncertainty. Flyers, media pleas, desperate hope. None brought answers. The truth was unthinkable. Their parents had been murdered and hidden away, while the killer used their money to pay for the very place that became their tomb. The Vellas' story was now at the heart of a chilling mystery. All evidence pointed to Michael Poe, the Vellas' handyman. He'd done odd jobs for them, earning their trust. Poe had a history of minor crimes, but nothing like this. Investigators believed he saw the Vellas as easy targets. The timeline suggested Poe murdered them in their home, motivated by greed. He bought the freezer, hid their bodies, and used their money for over a year. With Poe identified, police launched a manhunt. He had no fixed address, drifting and living off the Vellas' accounts. A warrant was issued, his photo released, and police tracked his digital trail out of Ohio. Michael Poe was on the run, but his time was running out. The net was closing in. Justice was coming. The betrayal was personal. Poe wasn't just a handyman, he was welcomed into the Vellas' lives. Beverly showed him kindness, offering food and friendship. He exploited their trust, learning their routines and passwords. There was no forced entry, he simply walked in. Forensics later found traces of blood in the basement, evidence of a violent struggle. After the murders, Poe stayed in Akron, using the Vellas' car and cards, paying for the storage unit that hid his crime. He lived among them, hiding in plain sight, his arrogance shocking even seasoned detectives. The manhunt led authorities across the country, tracking Poe's digital trail to Utah. U.S. Marshals found him in a desert motel. He surrendered without a fight. Extradited to Ohio, Poe faced overwhelming evidence. He confessed he'd planned to rob the Vellas, killed them when they resisted, bought the freezer, and drained their accounts. There was no remorse, just cold facts. Poe pleaded guilty to 2 counts of aggravated murder, robbery, and theft. He was sentenced to life without parole. The man who sealed his victims in a frozen tomb would now spend his life in a concrete one. The case was closed, but the scars remained. Justice at last had been served. The story of Unit 147 had reached its grim conclusion. The Akron storage unit murders remind us how evil can hide behind a friendly face. For the Vella family, the truth brought heartbreak but also closure. The storage unit was cleared, the freezer destroyed, but the story lingers. It echoes in the silent halls of storage facilities everywhere. What other secrets wait behind those locked doors? Sometimes the most ordinary places hide the darkest truths. These stories force us to look closer, to question what we think we know, because sometimes the real horror is hidden in plain sight.